Welcome in, mamas. This is Christina Reynolds from momontheclimb.com, and you are listening to Mom on the Climb Stories podcast, where real moms are coming forward to tell their real stories of support and inspiration and elevation from their life's journey. I am so honored and excited to be sharing these stories with you and collecting them, so sit back, enjoy, and let them elevate your soul. I was oddly nervous as I grabbed the microphone. I have spoken into a microphone many, many times in my life, but for this circumstance, for this celebration, I was nervous, excited, but nervous. The room was filled with all of our closest friends. After all, that's who you want with you on the day where you adopt two children that you adore. So we had spent the day celebrating. We went to the courthouse and got our adoption finalized. Finally, after many years of me being a mother to these children, but having no legal rights over them, it was now official. I was their mom, both spiritually and emotionally and mentally, and now, in the eyes of the law, legally, I was mother to these two beautiful children that I had been raising alongside with my husband for the past few years. The circumstances were a little bit sticky. We had moved out of the state where the adoption was being legalized in order to save the life of our youngest child that had just been born 6 months previously and was very medically complex. We up and moved our older kids over winter break, and they were troopers. Obviously, it took a lot of adjustment, but when we needed to make the trip across country back to the state where the adoption was filed in order to finalize it, we were thrilled to be able to hop on a plane, visit relatives, have all of our closest friends and family in one big room together, celebrating this grand moment. When a family joins together, however it looks, it is beautiful, and we were experiencing a very unique yours, mine, and ours union on this special day. So after we had done the courthouse, we had done a nice lunch, we were all dressed up, we got all fancy dancy and went to the church that we were familiar with in the area that allowed us to be able to hold our big celebration there. My daughter said, "Mom, when we get adopted, I want to have a party more fancy and greater than your wedding with Daddy was." And I said, "Yes, let's do that." So we spent months planning this party. We got fancy dresses. We had fancy hors d'oeuvres that we had gotten, and it was a celebration to be remembered. I grabbed the microphone. I wasn't planning on giving a speech, but I was planning on doing a slideshow from all of the years that I had been with those two kiddos that I was now officially and legally their mom after all these years. So I grabbed the microphone, I walked up to the stage, and I honestly, in this moment, don't even remember the words that came out of my mouth. I do remember that I was able to hold it all together and I didn't fall to pieces in tears, but gratefully talked about the moments that I treasured with these two. With my son, the moment that he asked his dad, "Dad, can I call Christina mom?" And he had first asked me, and I didn't know what to say. Honestly, I knew that I loved him. I knew that I was committed to caring for him, but I also knew that his biological mother still had a bumpy situation and nothing was finalized yet, and we weren't adopted. I hadn't adopted them yet. And so when he asked me that question, "Can I call you mom?" I told him that he had to refer to his dad. So I eavesdropped in the hallway as he asked his dad, "Dad, can I call Christina mom?" And his dad said, "Well, buddy, why do you want to call her by that name?" And he said, "Well, because she loves me like a mom. She takes care of me. She goes to do all of the things that a mom should do. And I know that the more people that can love me and care for me, the better. And I want her to be able to be called mom, which is what she is in my heart." And I remember that conversation so clearly, even though it was so many years ago. And his dad looked at this 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and told him that he was old enough to know what name he wanted to call me by. And so, even though his dad and I were not quite married yet, we were only engaged, we knew very early on that we were a family. And I knew that once that name had been dealt to me, I took that role very seriously. And even though it wasn't legal in the eyes of the law, it was legal in my eyes and in the eyes of God. This little boy called me mom. And I was going to make sure that he didn't live to regret that. My daughter, on the other hand, was only 2 years old, and I mentioned we had a yours, mine, and ours situation. And so when she heard my other little one calling me mom, she knew in her heart that I was her mom too. And there was no explaining to her that my name was Christina. She was not having any of that from a very young age. She never called me Christina and only called me mom. And when I say that families come in all shapes and sizes, I really believe that our youngest children, our babies, our toddlers, our young children, younger than 8 generally, I believe that they are super intuitive and they are connected to a sixth sense that we as adults have learned through behavior and learned through experience to put at bay. And I now have come to believe that it's an unlearning of our human experience to be able to adopt that sixth sense. Well, my daughter at such a young age just knew. She just knew that I was mom and there was nothing else that she was going to call me. So as I stood on stage holding this microphone, shaking with excitement, I told these brief stories of how I came to be mom to these 2 beautiful children in marriage and in actual deed. And as I wrapped up my talk, my speech, my love note to these 2, I turned on our slideshow that I had presented, that I had been working on with images of our family's evolution over the past few years, coupled with the song Believing from Nashville TV show. I adore the song, and as it started to play out, the music and the photos together, I looked at these children of mine, this yours, mine, and ours family that I had created, knowing that we still had such a long road ahead of us, looking at how beautifully dressed these children are, and the lyrics of the song moved me to tears. I don't remember how I got here when my rose-colored glasses disappeared. Sometimes my fingers, they can lose touch, start letting go of everything I love. When I get the feeling that my prayers have hit the ceiling and those darker days when my faith has lost all meaning, you keep me believing. disappeared. Sometimes my fingers, they can lose touch, start letting go of everything I love. When I get the feeling that my prayers have hit the ceiling, and those darker days when my faith has lost all meaning, you keep me believing. You keep me believing. You keep me believing.
Thanks for listening. Please click like and subscribe, and in the comments let us know if you want to hear more stories like this.